We can't use that footage. If we walk into your building and your cameras are on us, that's your footage.
100%.
That's where I think he made a huge mistake, bro. Here's the part where I want to believe him. I'm listening to what he says, but here's the part where he totally loses me. Bro, you can't go on this show now and tell me the WWE creative is great. And bro, not only that, you're telling me how great SmackDown is, and you're telling me how great Raw is, but the only name you're throwing out there is Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns, yeah.
That's the only thing you're throwing out there. Now, bro, I know for a fact, Chris, Fox and USA are not happy. So don't sit there and tell me how great this creative is when any wrestling fan knows this show stinks.
Yeah.
You have to tell me, you know what? The numbers aren't where we'd like them to be. There's a lot of room for growth. We've made some mistakes. We've recognized those mistakes. That's what I want to hear. You can't sit there, bro, and tell me how great the creative is and how both Raw and SmackDown are great shows and then expect me to believe anything else that's coming out of your mouth, bro.
Yeah, especially when Raw is just continue. I mean, just across the board. I mean, the ratings speaks for itself as far as the viewership is concerned. I mean, historic lows this year. So, I mean, that is something that you can't really speak politically and then the numbers don't reflect what you're saying. You know what I mean? That kind of, he's the business guy. He's successful in what he does. So he knows what he's doing. But my undergrad is in PR. So I look at interviews like this and I look at speeches like that and I pick them apart because my undergraduate was in public relations. I wrote speeches for people. So I know how to like people interviewing, writing speeches and things like that. So I'm more critical with people with stuff like that. And I pick it apart. And when he was talking, I said, man, you can't say stuff like that because it can backfire toward you because you have to understand because with the stuff that he was talking about, it's like knowing your audience and things like that. That applies with what you're saying too. That's where the PR background comes in. Okay, from a marketing standpoint, you know your audience, but from a PR standpoint too, you got to know your audience too. And you're speaking to wrestling fans here. And if the stuff that he was saying, as far as the product being so good, from a PR standpoint, you got to spin that thing. You know what I mean? You got to learn how to spin it. You got to say, okay, yeah, there's some developments or there's some inner workings to really get back to the point of, where our goal was or something like that, something that can spin it. Don't just blatantly say that the creative is good when the numbers don't reflect it. There's a way to spin it, but he didn't do a really good job.
And bro, and it's going back to that a sports analogy. If I'm a fan of the New York Mets right now, bro, I don't want to hear, oh yeah, man, merch sales are up and bro, we're selling out every night. Your team stinks. Like 100%. That's what a fan is going to say, including a fan of the WWE. Yeah. So it's like, bro, you can give us, okay, bro, you can have all your inflatable swords and all your Jilly dolls and we're going to have shows on a Saturday night. You can give me all that. But bro, when your product is obviously lacking, you have to address that with me, man. Yeah. Don't you how can you sit there with a straight face and put over how great this show is and expect anybody to believe you?
Yeah, I agree. Case in point, so what you're saying as far as the sports is concerned, so right now we have Ryan Day, going back to Ohio State football. Right now we have Ryan Day. Before that, we had, of course, Urban Meyer, and before that, we had Jim Trussell. One year we had Luke Fickell, but before that, Jim Trussell. Before that, John Cooper. And so John Cooper, he was there for 13 years, and of course, Ohio State's biggest rivalry is Michigan. In 13 years, John Cooper beat Michigan twice. And that, to every Ohio State fan, we were ready to just, I mean, and the thing is, there was times that he had good records, but that one loss was against Michigan, and we said he's got to get out of here. Yeah. And there would be times when he would lose against certain teams, and he would say, he would start off with saying, "Well, they're a good ball club," and I was sitting there as a fan, like, dude, are you crazy?
Yeah.
No, they weren't a good ball club. Like you dropped the ball, dude. Yep. You lost.
Yep.
You should have beat them. You should have beat them by 2 touchdowns. Case in point, Michigan State in 1998 lost against Michigan State, and that's when Nick Saban was there. They weren't even good. They had Plexico Burris. They weren't even a good team that year. And there's a good ball club. No, they weren't a good ball club. You dropped the ball. You lost. You lost. You know what I mean? And I love when coaches just straight up say, "I dropped the ball today." You know what I mean?
No,
it wasn't good,
too, bro.
You know what I mean?
Just tell me, bro. Tell me. Listen, he asks about the show. Listen, the ratings aren't obviously where we want them to be.
Yep.
You know, there's a lot of potential to grow those ratings. We know there are things we have to do. These are the things we're looking. Tell me that. Yep. That's all, bro. I mean, not, Chris, in every business, not everything is going to be a home run. Your businesses, you're going to have a strong side and you're going to have a weakness. There's going to be some holes that you've got to develop. Though you can't sit there and tell me when I know the USA Network is livid, you can't sit there and tell me this is a good show. Yeah. Because, again, like I said, Chris, now everything else you say, I got to take with a grain of salt because you just said Raw's a great show, bro.
Right. Yeah, very interesting. Last point that I want to make here was the competitor question he was asked about, if you pay attention to AEW, and he used a analogy of a horse, having blinders, and the reason why, the horse can't look to the left or the right. If he does, he'll get off track and so forth. And he used a quote from some guy as far as moving forward and not looking at their competitors and things like that. Was that a mindset to Vince McMahon?
Bro, that was a flat out lie. That's when I looked at him, because he said about the blinders and this and that, and then he said, we don't do that. And then he said the WWE has never done that. Yeah. Oh, really? Really, Nick? Nick, where were you in 1996 when WCW started kicking the snot out of WWE, and Vince McMahon was having company-wide meetings, bro, playing the victim? Oh, they got Roddy Piper. I don't know who else they could get. They took that's why, bro, see, that's what I'm talking about. No, Nick, I was there. Yeah. There were no blinders. Yeah. He was looking right at WCW. You weren't there, Nick. You were a fan then. You were graduating college, whatever you were doing. I was there. So that was another thing, bro. When he said that, hey, Chris, maybe that's the way they look at it now. I can't argue that. I'm not there. But when he says, no, the WWE has never.
Yeah.
No, bro.
I mean, every wrestling fan knows that they were. I mean, come on now. On an episode of Raw, DX took a tank to Nitro.
Right. I wrote it. Yes.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, but they never looked at their competition. But there was
that's what I mean, bro. You can't give me these instances where, okay, bro, now I got to question everything you said.
Yeah, exactly. What was the rhyme and reason? Speaking of competitors, what was the end game? What was the point? How did Vince feel about that DX segment?
Oh, I mean, bro, like I said, me and Ed wrote that segment because, bro, this has always been my philosophy with competition. All right, Chris, when you're number one, then the competition don't exist. You don't mention them. You don't put them. They don't exist. When you're number 2, bro, you throw the kitchen sink. You throw the and that's what we did. We were clearly number 2.
Yeah.
We had to get their attention, but more importantly, bro, we wanted the audience at home to say, are they really driving up to we wanted the audience at home to say, I don't believe they have the you-know-whats to do this.
Yeah.
But that's what we wanted, and that's what we accomplished.
Yeah.
So, again, it's like, bro, just be honest. Just be, you can't sell this as a good show when everyone knows it's not.
So lastly, on that DX segment note, Kevin Nash have said in many interviews that he was begging Eric Bischoff to open up, the door, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the door would have opened and Nash and Hall and whoever would have came out there, and I mean, they still would have kayfabed it, as far as like trying to, just try to throw shots at each other. How would you have booked the following Raw if Nash and Hall and a couple other people?
Well, bro, I got to tell you where I think Eric made a huge mistake. I got to tell you where I think they made a huge mistake, because it is a known fact that Eric, as soon as saw them come, and said, lower the doors, lower the doors, lower the doors. Bro, you got to understand something. The wrestlers were friends. Nothing was going down between Hall and Nash and DX. Wrestlers are friends.
Yeah, they were the clique.
Yeah, exactly. They're all friends with each other. Yeah. Here's where I think Eric made a huge mistake, bro. Bro, if Eric leaves that up and they come in, that's WCW's footage.
Nitro. Yes.
That's their footage. We can't use that footage. If we walk into your building and your cameras are on us, that's your footage.
100%.
That's where I think he made a huge mistake, bro. And I guess, bro, and I'm not knocking Eric or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm cool with Eric.
But I guarantee you what it came down to, bro, was him not knowing what to do. There were not going to be any fights between the boys. I mean, bro, half the boys were cracking up over it. But I think in that moment, he just didn't know what to do. But man, that was their footage. If they were shooting that and all of a sudden WCW's on Nitro, are they going to be on Nitro next week? I got to tune back in.
Yep. 100%. It's so funny. That kind of could have had the same effect as when Shivani was booked to spoil the Foley finish.
Right.
That kind of could have had that same type of effect. On Nitro, wait a minute, what? DX on Nitro? Hold on, let me turn over here.
Bro, I got to tell you something, man. If the tables were switched, I do not see Vince ever saying shut that door.
Yeah.
I don't see Vince doing that, bro.
I agree. Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, it certainly back then competition meant something. So even if it never meant something, it meant something in the late 90s, that's for sure. So ladies and gentlemen, he's Vince Russo. I'm Dr. Chris Featherstone. And look, this is Writing with Russo. Hope you enjoyed it. And so long.